What is up and welcome back, and today we have the eSwap X2 Pro controller from Thrustmaster. This is a controller I've been wanting to check out for a nice while, and I also want to mention that I did buy this controller with my own money. So for this review, you are going to get an honest and objective review. You're going to get the good and the bad. So with that said, let's dive right in. Now, I do like the packaging. It does look that it's very solid. It does protect the controller very well. Also, very nice box, good solid material. So Thrustmaster gets a A in that area. And like you can see, this is made for the Xbox Series X or S and also for Windows. So it's not going to be a PlayStation controller. So have that in mind for this one. Open this up so you can see what's inside. You're going to get some nice foam to protect the sticks for your controller. Like I said, I love the presentation. Very solid. Also, a nice carrying bag for your controller. A nice long cord. Very nice. With the cord, you can play from a long distance or up close and personal if you like. You do get a tool. This tool is going to be for swapping out the D-pad. If you want to take the D-pad out, then you can swap these like that. Or if you like to remove the triggers, you can also do that with this tool. And of course, your instructions and some promo information. You get all that in the box. Let me take out the controller and we're going to get into all the small little details. Now, I do want to say this controller right here, just want to get it out the way. It actually didn't work for me, and I'm going to tell you exactly why. But one of the big issues is going to be because I have small hands. So if you do have small hands, just like myself, then maybe this controller might not work for you. But if you do have big hands, maybe all the little details that I'm mentioning might not even be a factor. So have that in mind. And we are going to be comparing this controller with other controllers. And to start off, I'm going to show you the weight. So we're going to start with the Elite 2. Put it right here. You can see 12.05 ounces. Now we swap it out for the Thrustmaster, 11.35 ounces. So the Elite 2 is going to be a little bit more heavier than the eSwap X2, just by a little bit. So you can imagine the weight already. And a controller I do love a whole lot that I'm currently using is going to be the Vader 3. Now this one does have a whole bunch of tech on it, and it's just going to weigh 9.45 ounces. So if you are going to be playing a long time, something lighter, if you do like a lighter option, the Vader 3 with a whole bunch of different options and paddles in the back. And the Thrustmaster is going to be similar to the Elite 2. So if you do play for long sessions, just have that in mind. You might think, hey, just a couple ounces, it might not affect you. But when you are playing for 2 hours, maybe if you're lucky enough to play 3 or 4 or all day, right? Holding the controller like this, at some point it's going to tire out your forearms. So just have that in mind, but it is something minimal. I don't mind the weight of the Elite 2 at all. Very happy with it. So for me, that's going to be a no issue. But now you know the weight in difference. Now, getting into some specifics, I really want to break it down for everybody so you can understand if this controller is going to work for you or maybe not. I'll line up these 3 controllers right here. And you can see just by eyeballing these controllers that this one is going to look a little bit more bulkier, and that's going to be the case. And some of the differences might not seem that obvious, but we're going to try to help everybody out. And I do have some measuring tape right here. And to start off, if we do measure from the center of the D-pad to the center of the right stick, it is going to be around 2 inches. Look at that, 2 inches. Now over here for the Elite 2, from the center of the D-pad to the center of the right stick, it is going to be 1 inch and 3/4. You can really see a difference. The one's going to be 1/4 wider, and then we're going to go with the Vader 3. going to be 1 inch. And 3/4 as well. So very similar from the distance between the D-pad and the right stick. Now the distance from the left stick to the face buttons. To this first face button is going to be around 3 inches, and we can say 3/5. 3 inches and 3/5 about. Going to the Elite 2, from the center to the first face button is going to be 2 inches and 3/4. 2 inches and 3/4. Going to the Vader 3. Same deal, 2 inches and 3/4. So what does that mean? That means that these right here are going to be further out, right? So instead of you being close like this, going to be a little further out, with the distance from these being wider and then these being a little bit wider as well. So you can see that a little bit wider compared to these. These are going to be more closer in. Same thing, closer and closer in. Now also, one thing that actually did bother me a whole lot, because I do like playing competitive shooters, and when you are playing those games, you do use the scoreboard to see how many players are up, right? If you're down in numbers or have an advantage, you have more numbers up, you pull that up, then you can know if you can push or wait for your teammates. Now as you can tell, look, these are going to be right here in the center. Over here it's going to be up high. Then you're going to have these also up in this area. If we measure once again, we are going to have from the center to the first one, it's going to be around 3/4. From the center to the first one, it's going to be 1 inch or 1 inch. And then right here, 3/4. Around 7/8 for the Y. Pretty much 3/4, 1 inch, and then 3/4 right there. So that right there might seem like something small, but I'll demonstrate with the size of my hands. So if I grab the controller like this, right, I do claw. For me, it's just easy to go like this. See how many people are up, and then I'm back in the action. Same deal with the Vader 3. I'm right here, then I just go like that. Like that. Now remember, with the Thrustmaster 2, everything's a little bit more spread out, just a little bit, and then right here, just a little bit. So all the little differences start to add up. So if I do grab this like this, now I have to go all the way up here. With the previous, I just go like that, or right here. Right here, I literally have to go more up like that. And I do claw, so my hand tends to be a little bit more up, but if I didn't claw, if I was playing like this, then that could be a further distance out, right? Especially if I'm using the paddles, have my fingers on these paddles, right? Just look at that. I'm gonna have to go all the way over here, like that. But because I claw, I have this finger already up here, so it just makes it a lot easier just to slide it over. And when I started playing, I did notice that, because I would go like this, and then I realized the button's higher than I would have to go up like that, then come back down. So there's going to be a learning curve, especially if you have smaller hands. You're going to have to get adjusted to having your hands further apart, not as close. And it's also going to matter with the distance of the controller. So that's something that surprised me actually a whole lot. If I go from the B button from the center all the way down, it's going to be around 8 centimeters. Around 8 centimeters. So everybody can see that. From the top view looking down, you can see it a lot better. The camera angle might not help you. But for the Thrustmaster, it is going to be 9. From the top angle going down, it's going to be 9 centimeters. So you're going to have a little bit of extra, more material for the arms right here, for the wings. Now, what does that mean? Again, if we take a look right here, if I hold the controller, the Elite 2, it rests like this in my arm, right? But if I have the extra material right here, and plus the Elite 2 or the Vader 3, they curve more along this area. Now with this one, it does tend to, look at that. It's not as curved, not the same type of curve where it starts curving right here. It's just more going straight down. Kind of like a Dreamcast controller. One of those retro controllers that are real big and bulky. So it does tend to keep my arm further back, right? And again, this might not be an issue if you have big hands. Actually, you might like it a lot more because instead of you having your hands all cramped up inside, now instead you're going to have them more wider out, right? And your arm can go over this right here. So for me, this is a lot more comfortable. Holding this controller is a lot more comfortable. Same thing with the Vader 3 and with the Thrustmaster, the X2. This kind of pushes into my arm right here at the bottom when it would curve a little bit more right here. Look at that. Goes into this pocket of my hand. Like we said, it's a little bit harder. I have to push it up, and instead it's going to be more down here. Like that, almost at the bottom of my wrist. So that's something I did want to highlight for everybody. And also we turn the controller like this. Let me give you this look. You can see it. Look at the bumpers. They're cut off right here. When you look at the other controllers, it's a more wider bumper. Same thing with the Vader. It's more wide, look at that. More wide. So what does that mean? I think that if Thrustmaster is trying to make a bigger controller for somebody with bigger hands, just make the bumper extend all the way through, right? Going with that large theme, because somebody with long hands, they're going to be pressing down on these bumpers like this, right? So you're going to have to get used to pressing down with the interior of your finger, not the tip, the interior. Look at this one. I do claw, but most of my finger rests on that bumper. Then right here also rest on that bumper for the Vader 3. Now for the triggers, I definitely love the triggers of the Elite 2 and the Vader 3 better than the Thrustmaster, because with the trigger stops, right? No trigger stops. You have 3 options. Middle option, and then where you're barely pressing down and you're already shooting. If you do use this for a FPS, you're already shooting. Same thing with the Vader. Look at that. You're already shooting. Now with the Thrustmaster, you do have some trigger stops. Right, but they're not going to be like this. We're very minimal. I do love the minimal pressing down. You can be a lot faster. Right here you are going to have a delay. Look at that. Goes all the way down and then halfway. So there's going to be a delay. I really love that. Those instant triggers, especially for first person shooters, like I said. But it's going to be a different feel. Personally, for me, I prefer these two setups a lot better. And you are going to have these type of buttons in the back. They're going to be flat, These are going to be flat, and these have a little curve to them. Look at that little curve. Elite 2 has paddles. I can have my pinky right here. Look at that, pinky. And then forefinger. Now, with this type of setup, I'm going to be pressing these two buttons with the pinky. Or actually, correction, with this finger, this forefinger. So the pinky becomes non-existent in these paddles. It's going to be like this. With these type of back buttons. Same thing with the Vader 3. It's going to be this finger doing the work. The pinky is not going to be involved. And I play guitar, so for me it's very natural to use the pinky, right? I feel very comfortable with these type of paddles. So that's going to be a difference in that area. Now also with this controller, you can see you do have your controls right here, your mic, your volume, also profile 1, profile 2. You can have 2 profiles of custom buttons, and then your mapping button. Now let me hook this up so you can see how to map buttons. Now I have this controller hooked up, and it is going to be wired, so that's how it's going to work. And very easy to map. You can see right here it does say map, so you press that button, then it's going to start to blink. You can see that right there. And for example, if I want to map to button 4 down here, I'm going to press that 4, and at the same time I'm going to press the button I want to map, for example Y. So I'm going to press 4 and Y at the same time, and if you do it right, it's going to vibrate. You see, now each time when I press the 4th button back here is going to be the Y button as well. So that's very nice. One more time, you press the mapping button, starts the blink. The button you want to map, this time is going to be the 3. Going to press the 3, and I'm going to press the right bumper. You see that? I started vibrating. So on these 4 back buttons, you can map any button that you want. It can be the bumpers, the Y, the X, the A, the B, even pressing down. Now you press down right here on the sticks, pressing down buttons. You can map those as well, or the D-pad. So very nice feature with the mapping button. Is going to help you out a whole lot with your gaming. Now one thing I do want to mention that I was disappointed with this controller is that you can map the same button twice right here in the front, or the bumpers and the triggers. For example, I do like keeping the crouch button right here, the B. I like moving it over here to LT, because when I am playing a competitive shooter, I like strafing with the LT. Plus, I like keeping it right here close to the A, because then I can jump and crouch at the same time. I'm trying to get away, I can jump and crouch, Gandhi hop. Or if I do slide and I want to keep bunny hopping, right, and shooting, I like pressing both these 2 buttons at the same time. So you see, I like strafing and crouching, and then I like doing that technique right here with the claw grip. So that means if you do want to have some duplicates, you're going to have to use the back buttons. For example, you can have the B right here, and also maintain the B for the face buttons. And if you do want to move the B over here, the LT, you can do that, but then the LT has to move over here. So you see, you are going to be somewhat limited. If you do like a custom setup, you're not going to be able to do that with this Thrustmaster. You can do a lot with it, but no duplicates in this area. So that for me is a letdown, because I was looking forward to this controller a whole lot. And some highlights about the app is that you can have two profiles. One can be for a racing game or a fighting game, and then your second one can be for your first person shooter. So that is going to be nice, having that flexibility for your custom settings. Also, like we talked about, you can map any button with the 4 back buttons, but you cannot do duplicates in the front like we talked about. And then you do have some options for your sticks. You can customize the curve for your sticks exactly how you want them, and then also some settings for your triggers and then for the vibration. So it is going to be nice that Thrustmaster has those features in the app, and they're also going to be easy to use. And some unique things about this controller is that you can swap out the modules. For example, the left stick, you can swap it with the D-pad. You can have a PlayStation type of setup. That right there is very nice. Of course, as you can see, I did not use the tool. You can use the tool to take out the D-pad, but I'm very comfortable just going like this. But it's nice to give you the tool. For example, if you do have big hands, maybe you might not be able to do what I'm doing right here, right? Just taking it out. And again, also I did want to demonstrate that you can take off the sticks. Has this type of configuration where it unscrews. Then you can grab the convex. Just make sure you screw correctly back on. There we go. So you can see that we have that setup. Now I do have the controllers on their side, so you can get a different side view, so you can see the difference in the height of the sticks. As you can tell, the Thrustmaster is going to have the sticks being the highest, and the Vader 3 and the Elite 2 are going to be very similar. Now, we already know that higher sticks technically do give you better accuracy. You can be more precise where you're shot with your location of moving the sticks and your movement even, but that's going to be a preference thing. A lot of players don't like having higher sticks. They like them to be a little bit shorter. For me, I do like that feeling where the sticks are closer to the controller, and other players do like the higher feeling. That's why they even buy the Control Freaks that extends the sticks. Now in this case, it would have been nice that Thrustmaster included different sizing, right? Especially if you're paying that high-end price. For this controller, it is $170, so it would have been nice to have those accessories in the box. Instead, you do get convex and concave, and that maybe makes the dome stick a little bit higher, but it is going to be basically the same height. So that's something I did want to mention to everybody. So if you are looking at this controller, just know that you are going to get a little bit higher height for the sticks for the Thrustmaster. So that's going to be the close-up and the review of the Thrustmaster eSwap X2. I do think it is a nice controller that Thrustmaster is trying to do innovative things, but in my case, this controller did not work out. We talked about why. It is a little bit too big for my hands, my play style. I do like having 2 B buttons, but with this controller, it's not 100% customizable. It's almost there, but you cannot have duplicates in the front. You can map some in the back. And then also the sticks. I do like my sticks to be a little bit shorter, especially when you are paying 170 USD when you pull the controller out the box. You do expect to have all those options available to you for a high-end price. Then if you do compare the pricing right now, the Elite 2, you can pick that one up for 140 USD. And then the Vader 3 for 100 USD with a lot of tech in that controller. So now you have all the information, so you can decide if this controller is going to work for you or if it's not. And if you did get something out of this review, please sub and like. I am a smaller channel, and every little bit goes a long way. We'll be back next time with more. Until then, peace and much love.